Whether you are in math class or art class, you may hear this term, tessellations. So what are tessellations? Tessellations are basically a way to tell the form. It goes on forever. It's with shapes that keep going, and there's no overlapping and no gaps. Like the squares on the previous page, these triangles are an example of a tessellation. You can kind of see how the blue and the green triangles keep repeating. Regular tessellations have no overlapping or gaps. They're regular polygons or shapes with straight lines, and each vertex must look the same. Remember, the vertex is where all the corners meet. And within these squares, you can see how in the middle, all of those corners touch. Not only do you find tessellations in math, you can actually find them in nature. These are two examples of some tessellations that you would find, such as the beehive on the left and the pineapple on the right. You can see how the shapes are constantly repeating. M.C. Escher is a Dutch graphic artist who is sometimes referred to as the father of modern tessellations. Two examples of Escher's tessellations are the flying fish on the left and the lizards on the right. You can see that none of the figures overlap, and there are figures in both the positive space and in the negative space. Now that you have seen tessellations in both math, nature, and in art, it's your turn to create your own. First, you need to choose your polygon. Remember, your polygons are shapes with straight lines. Examples could be a square, a rectangle, or a triangle, or a hexagon. Here I've chosen to draw a hexagon, and then once you've drawn it with a pencil or pen, you're going to cut it out with some scissors. Remember, when you cut out your shape, you want to make sure it's nice and small so it can fit onto your paper multiple times. You're going to start in the top left corner, place it down on the paper, and you're going to trace it with your pencil. You are going to continue tracing that hexagon going across the top row of your paper. Remember, you want the hexagon's side to constantly touch as you go across. On the second row, you will have to skip a little bit to make sure the hexagon fits into place. Draw that hexagon and continue repeating those until you finish them all the way across the row. You can then fill in the remaining edges on the left and right side to make sure the hexagons go off for the paper. You will then repeat those hexagons going on to the third row, then the fourth row, and keep going until you fill up the entire paper with your shape. Now we are going to start making the positive and negative space in the tessellation. The first thing you need to do is go and put a little dot in the middle of each hexagon. Now using a pencil and a ruler, you're going to go from the center line, center dot, and attach that to each of the three corners on the left side, the right side, and the bottom. And eventually it creates a Y. Once you have finished using your ruler to make your Ys within each hexagon, you're going to notice that each hexagon has 3 different squares within it. Now you're going to take a Sharpie or a black marker to trace all of your lines to make it look more three-dimensional. So now it's time to start coloring. In each hexagon, there's going to be 3 different squares. You're going to have a different color per square. So you're going to go in and put a dot for the top square, the right square, and the left square with that color, and then color it in. So remember, we're making a pattern when we're doing these designs. So we're going to go at a slant or a diagonal to create our pattern. So once you've done your first 2 hexagons, you're going to do the same type of dots in each of the hexagons going up towards the top and down towards the bottom right. Once I have placed all of my dots, I'm going to go in and start coloring. So you can see I'm doing all of the top squares of each hexagon, the top of each Y, and I'm using turquoise for this color. Once I've done the top turquoise, I'm going to do the right side with the blue. So I'm going to use the blue marker and color each of the squares on the right side until I finish up that area. Once you have finished with your blue section, you're going to jump over to the left side and do the purple section. And we're going to color each one as it goes up towards the top of the paper and down towards the bottom of the paper. As you noticed before, we did cold colors in the first row, the blue, green, and purple. Now this time we're going to use warm colors on the next row. And we're going to start with red. So we're going to start by doing on the left side, you could see how we did all our red dots. And then we're going to color in each of those and repeat those and fill them in until every one of our hexagons has a red square. Now we are going to do the same thing using red on the opposite side of the cold colors hexagons. So we're going to go in and do our red dots on each of those and then fill them all in, just like you can see on the right side of our screen. Now we're going to jump to our second color for each of these rows, and we're going to be using yellow. So on the top square of each little hexagon that we've created, we're going to do the yellow dots and we're going to fill them in. And just like you could see on the right side of our screen. Now it's time to do the last color for these rows. So that remaining square that's within each hexagon, you're going to do an orange dot. So we're going to repeat that orange dot and then color them in, just like as you can see on the right side of our screen. So far we have 3 finished rows and it's time to start working on the next rows. So to the left and the right side of our warm colors, we're going to start with our greens again. So you're going to go ahead and use your green to color the top of each hexagon and repeat that until you've finished the entire row. Now that we have done green, we need to start adding the blues and the purples. So just like you did with the green, you're going to do the blue going all the way down, and then you're going to do the purple going all the way down. Once you finish coloring the blues and the purples on these rows of cool colors, you still have some white spaces showing. So now you need to go ahead and jump back over and do the warm colors for the next row, and then you're going to do cold colors on the corners. Keep going until there's no white showing. Once you have completed doing all of your colors, you have your finished tessellation. Remember, there are no overlaps, and there's figures now both in the positive and the negative spaces. Have fun looking at it.